Welcome to Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, a podcast dedicated to the commercial food equipment repair industry. My name is Pat Finley. I'm a lead master certified technician at General Parts Group and a certified special trainer. Our goal is to shine a light on what we believe to be one of the most interesting and rewarding industries a field service technician can work in. We love the work we do, and we're glad you're here listening to this podcast. In this episode, we feature Bryan Sanders. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. Tonight, we have very special guest, Bryan Sanders. A lot of you guys know who Bryan is. He's been around here from the get-go, and Bryan's a pretty cool dude. But first, the RLS Summer Tool promos are back. For a limited time, you can save $500 on your choice of 4 different tool and jaw sets used with RLS press fittings. That includes the Klauke 19 kilonewton tool and 5-jaw set, plus 8 jaw sets that are compatible with a wide variety of press tools, including RIDGID, Milwaukee, and many others. For complete details, visit rapidlockingsystem.com/save500. With RLS press fittings, you get reliable joints in about 10 seconds. With no flame, no fire hazards, no brazing materials, no burn permits, no fire spotters, and no nitrogen purging. Plus, you're getting the most proven HVACR press fittings on the market. The only ones that have been in use since 2015 and have more than 20 million installed fittings in the field. Again, get all the details on the RLS Summer Tool promos at rapidlockingsystem.com/save500. Thanks, RLS. So, thanks, RLS, for helping out with the show. So,
can we follow that ad read up with hashtag Hulk Smash?
Yeah. That guy, yeah. I don't see his stuff anymore, and I think he deleted his account. I think someone said.
Oh, maybe I blocked him. Blocked him. I just couldn't.
You blocked him. I did not follow. You had to out petty me one.
Yes, I did.
So we have very special guest Bryan Sanders on. If you guys are on Instagram, I'm sure you know who Bryan is. Bryan's a pretty cool dude. He's a pretty good supporter of what we do here, and he's a really good guy. So Bryan, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, brother. Just living the dream, working and making the money so we can pay Uncle Sam.
That's the truth. That's a whole new meaning for rich, I think.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Those quarterly payments just hit different, don't they?
I mean, I haven't had to do any yet, but I don't want to think about them. They're coming up.
That's funny. So Bryan's got some pretty cool stories. I asked for a little brief background, and I'm just gonna let Bryan talk about how he got to the position he's in now. He's getting ready to transition to a new company next week, but let's talk about his background and what he's done, in his life and how he got to where he's at now. So what's going on, man?
You want me to start from the beginning? I won't go back to my kindergarten years, but basically, for 12 years, I worked in the oil field, doing everything. Started off doing the hydraulic fracturing, or fracking as people call it. Here in West Virginia, we got a lot of natural gas and some oil. So that was a big thing. Created a lot of jobs in the state. Did that and moved around different companies there. Did that till 2020, whenever, was it 2019, 2020, whenever COVID hit. And everybody was really, freaking out. And the price of gas was going, or oil was going down, and myself and 18 other coworkers got laid off one day, which they did me a favor. I'm not complaining about it. It is what it is. But anyways, got laid off, got a good severance package, and that's when you're getting unemployment plus the $600 a month. So I was real picky about what I was looking for. Anyways, found Coke. Worked there for 2 years, service technician. You see the soda fountains, freestyle machines. where you can choose every flavor on the planet Earth. I worked on those. I did that for 2 years, and last year I had medical issue, and I was off for 3 months. Yeah, 3 months, and had my type 1 EPA whenever I got on the Coke, because we did. It's where I got my love for refrigeration at. Nothing big. Working on beverage coolers, True Units, Embera, Bev Airs, just all the flavors of beverage coolers. Worked on those and really just loved that. Then, like I said, last year I had a medical issue and was off work for 3 months. And I'm the type of person, if I don't have something on my mind, something I'm working on, and I get bored, I get depressed. Just, I guess a lot of guys go through that. That's just my nature. But um, thought, well, I love refrigeration, and so I went through SkillCat and got my EPA Universal. And then I got thinking, well, that's not going to do me much good at Coke, because we don't really, we're doing type 1 stuff, just little compressors and whatnot. And so I decided to make the jump into the HVACR industry full fledged, and went to work for a company called Next Tech. I'm sure people have heard of them. And a couple weeks ago, I got a job offer from CoolSys, and starting Monday, I'll be working at CoolSys. So looking
Nice.
forward to it. Yeah, excited, nervous. It's all good.
That's a lot of growth in a couple of short years.
Yeah, my dad always told me, if you're going to do something big, go all the way or don't do it at all. So that's the way I roll, man. It's I like challenges. And sometimes I kick myself in the hind end for liking challenges, because you get in the middle of a challenge and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I ask for? But it's the end result, that dopamine hit you get from figuring something out, and treating the customer right and figuring something out at the same time. That makes it worth it. That does.
Yeah, that sounds like my life in a nutshell. I get bored pretty easy, and I want to do more things. And then the challenge is really, it's really fun when you get it figured out. But there can be days where you just want to bash your head against the wall. So,
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize, and I mean, it took me until my mid-30s to understand that growth hurts.
oh, yeah.
Growth is very painful, but it's a necessary part of life. So um, I adopted this mantra in the oil field, because there's a lot of suck moments in the oil field. I mean, it's 100 degrees outside, and you're in FR coveralls, and you're covered head to toe in drilling mud or grease or whatever, and there's no way to get out of it other than quit. And I'm not a quitter, so I just adopted embrace the suck. It's going to suck. Just embrace it, walk up to it, give it a hug, say it's going to be all right. We'll get through this together, and just embrace it and move on.
Yeah, I think that's why so many people kind of just stay where they're at, because, like you said, change, is difficult. It's a challenge, and people are scared of the challenge, and they just kind of stay where they're at. And man, that is not me. I can't do it.
No, I can't. I can't either. I don't like drama, but I like excitement, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Hmm. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, SkillCat, our friend Jennifer, she does a lot of stuff with them, and my son, he got his EPA Universal through them. Um, my youngest son actually had his job interview today and got an offer letter to start working with me. So I'm gonna have him go ahead and jump on SkillCat and go ahead and get his EPA Universal before he even gets started and get it out of the way and get it taken care of. But he, I'd made a post that's like, oh, guess I'm gonna put my name on that front door.
I was getting ready to say, man, when are they gonna put your name on that front door? Because you've talked about it.
Yeah, he's always wanted to do it. And my older son was surprised. My youngest son's always wanted to do it. So I'm excited. He graduates in a couple weeks. He told him a date he can start. So he's gonna take a week off of school before he starts a career. So
Nice.
Well, I mean, you and Rich, you guys ought to be proud parents. You both, Rich, you've got your son working with you, and Pat, your two boys are going into the same industry as you. So, you're doing something right there.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely fun having my oldest son riding around with me, especially because even though he doesn't know anything, he learns quick. But he's got my work ethic and my standards, thank God. So every little thing, he's like, "Why not make this perfectly straight?" You know what I mean? Let's get some screws out of the van and replace the screws that are missing. And I'm like, yes, at least there's one more person on this planet that thinks like I do.
But does he have your lack of tolerance for BS?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
He might be a little worse than me when it comes to that. Yeah.
So he doesn't have, his filter is not as refined as what yours is, and is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And we've all got this thing where even if we stay quiet, our face screams very loudly. Like one time my daughter, who she's my youngest, something happened and I told her to be quiet like 3 times, and then I realized she wasn't saying nothing. It was just her facial expression, and I'm sitting there like, shh, shh. I'm like, oh, she's not talking. That's just her face. It's that bad with us. Like, we can't hide what we're thinking.
No, they kids get it honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be a different challenge. Now, my younger son, he's really smart. He didn't want to do college just because he's over school, but he's a really smart one. My oldest son has worked with me for a year and a half, 2 years. He was an athlete, so he always has that drive where he doesn't want to get beat. He's not going to lose. He's has determination. So I think that's why he's excelled, is because he will not quit, and he didn't want to. I don't think he wanted to let me down, but I mean, like doing something, but it really pushed him to excel. And he told my youngest son, he's like, "Man, I hated this for the first year." He's like, "I don't know why I ever said I was going to do this."
Well, and that's something I'm trying to teach my 16-year-old now is, well, it's, we grew up, I know you guys did too, when cell phones weren't a thing. So you had to work for stuff, and stuff didn't come at the snap of your fingers. And the newer generation, that's the hardest thing I see with new technicians is the lack of instant gratification. That's the hardest hurdle I see them going through is having to work for something, and then the reward coming not right at that moment, but maybe a later period of time. I think once employers can get past that hurdle and find a way to break that wall, and you're starting to see it more. More and more technicians. I was not. I'm sorry that I don't mean to ramble, but forget where it was. I heard a statistic that starting this year, colleges are starting to worry about their enrollment numbers because more and more people are wanting to get into trades, which is awesome.
Yep. I heard that recently too. I heard. I want to say what I heard is like this past year or the past couple years, trade school enrollment is up like 18% or something.
Yeah, that was it.
Like that.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So, at where you're at currently, what mainly do you work on? Just mainly AC stuff, or?
I guess it'd be considered light commercial refrigeration. On the refrigeration side, it's multi-door reach-in freezers, reach-in coolers, self-contained. We do a little bit of walk-in stuff, basically your Subway style, which I actually had a post on Instagram. That's one of my weekend calls was at a Subway. We can talk about that. Anyways, no, it wasn't a customer.
The
They
general
just go,
Subway.
what
Generally,
is it?
Generally, it's a customer issue with Subway.
No, the manager was a sweetheart. Last month, a technician had come by and installed a case on closer. And the call was about the door wouldn't close and the closure come off. And I get there and the manager, like I said, she was a sweetheart. She saved the screws and showed me they used 8-inch screws to mount that into the door. That those closures put a lot of force onto the door. So I was like, well, that doesn't surprise me that it come off as quick as it did. So I knew the type of units they were using, and I knew I had that call on Friday. So I actually went up to Lowe's and bought some number 10 3/4-inch coarse thread screws, something that's going to bite into the door. Replaced all the screws with those. And then they've recently, at least in my area, started going to the KE2 controllers because they can remotely monitor the performance. And she said, hey, and this monitor on the cooler hasn't read the box temp since they installed it. And they just installed it last month. And I was like, oh, let me take a look at it. Well, you can go in and check the probe menu on it. And it was reading negative 87.7, which meant that the probe was disconnected. So all I did was take the screws off, looked at the back, and they'd landed the sensor on the wrong set of pins. All I had to do is flip-flop pins and put it back on there. And I showed her, and I said, there you go, ma'am. And she's like, is that the box tip? And I said, yeah. I said, I can put my wireless probe in there and show you. She's like, oh, that's awesome. I mean, it's just little stuff like that. But anyways, went off on a tangent.
Oh, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
People use those little bitty screws in those closers just because, that's what they had in their bag or something, and that's not going to cut it, man. K-Sun makes a pretty stout product, and it'll rip itself off there in heartbeat if you use little bitty screws.
Yeah, I'd never worked on one, so I the one that was off the door, I kind of had to look at it, and then I seen it just has that little clip pin that holds I guess you'd call it the piston pivot or whatever. Pop it. Anyways, it was real easy. But yeah, that's the extended refrigeration that I work on. Lots of Trues, lots of True units, and then AC, HVAC, heating and cooling, big box stores.
Nice. And you're making a jump because you want more variety. You want to work on some stuff, correct?
Yeah. At Next Tech where I am, and I've told everybody, I really appreciate the opportunities they provided. And several people have asked me why, and I said, it's nothing personal. It's professional growth. I said, I'm too far along in life to not know what I want and go after it. And, what we do is good. But at Coolsys, I have the opportunity for bigger things. And I really want to get into rack refrigeration, the big refrigeration, because of not only, bigger equipment and excitement and stuff, but more challenges. A lot of stuff, walk-ins and stuff like that. So I have that opportunity with Coolsys. Plus, their training is top notch.
Yeah, you can go hang out with Brett. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, just don't piss him off.
No, I don't think I could make Brett mad. And if I did, he's an adult. He'll get over it.
He may get back. I don't know if he'll get over it, but he may get
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I didn't want to say it, but
Oh, that dude has a mind. He has a mind like a steel trap, so he's never going to forget.
no.
At the moment when you least forget or least think about it, he's going to come back and he's going to pay you back.
That's funny. So yeah, I always dream about working on chillers and stuff like that, and I think it'd be cool. I just never have the. I don't know. I don't think I can start over. That's my biggest fear is starting over somewhere.
yeah.
Be cool where I'm doing now, and do a lot of cool stuff, a lot of fun stuff, and I don't think I'm gonna start over. So it's just I'm where I'm at, and if the opportunity arises, for me to work on some other stuff, doing what I do, I take it, and that fulfills my need, for different stuff. Like you said earlier, you get bored, and it's never good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind the devil's playground. That's never truer words have never been spoken. But yeah, I think that's like I understand with you and with Rich. I mean, Rich took that next step, being a business owner. That was truly what that next step was going to be. Luckily, with me, I guess I haven't been in the industry, but technically probably 3 years. So I have that opportunity to be able to kind of have an idea and kind of explore, I guess. But it's just I wish I'd gotten the industry a long time ago. I don't like what ifs, but what if I had gotten into it when I was in my 30s? Where would I be at now? But hindsight's always 2020. You can't change the past. So I'm dealing with what I have right now, and I'm gonna take the most opportunity that I can, and just and I truly enjoy my work. I mean, of course, there's days that we have. You guys have had it, and everybody has it, where you're just like, I'm quitting. I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. Forget, you know what I mean? But then you push through it, and then it's like, yeah, it's all good,
My last trainee would point out that I would quit 7 times before noon most days.
Oh,
But yeah, and it happened more in the oil field than it does now, but it still happens now. But in the oil field, yeah, it was like you walk up to somebody. How many times did you quit this week? Oh, 5. Oh, that's a good week, man. That's a really good week.
I did it so many times. I just kept saying so many times. I was saying to my boss, like he was scared. He was like, "You got to quit threatening." It's like, "Oh, I'm not. I'm just venting." I was like, "I wouldn't tell you if I was going to quit."
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about my job now, and I'll have drive time when I'm at Coolsys, is a lot of guys are like, oh, I don't like driving. I don't like to drive. And I'm like, man, I don't mind it because by the time I get to the house, I've decompressed and I'm not, you're not carrying all that baggage in. My wife, of course, will be like, hey, what did you do today? How was your day? And I'll tell her, but it's not like, oh my gosh, this blah blah. It's just like, well, this happened. This sucked, but that's all right. Tomorrow will be a better day. Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad day. Well, I've had too many good days to let a bad day ruin it.
That's a good point. Have you ever driven home in silence? Like just turn the radio off and you're like just drive home and you're just like contemplating like what why did today turn out the way it did? I'm like this is terrible.
Yeah, it was when was it? Last September. One of my first AC calls on my own, 480 volt unit. And I'd change out the transformer on it. Transformer blew. Got that changed out, and I couldn't. The board was acting up, and the customer, they only had 2 units in their place, and they needed the cooling because that one unit was down was for their whole sales floor. And so I was bypassing the board to get them through until I could get another board. Anyways, I landed a 480-volt wire on a 24 volt. Yeah, and blew the transformer. I might have peed in my pants a little bit then, but I won't. I ain't gonna lie, it scared the bejesus out of me. But that I had an hour and a half trip home, and the whole time it was just staring. It was dark, but I didn't get home till like 11 o'clock at night. I just stared at the road in silence. Yep.
Dude, I'll tell y'all what I did. One time I went like, I don't know, at least a month, if not more, where I just rode in silence like every day. And I know it's not, where we were going with this, but a lot of the personal growth that I experienced was in that time frame, because if you sit silent with yourself, the amount of things you will find out about yourself is insane. So that's something that I encourage people to do, like not just because the day sucked and you're trying to decompress, but like say, okay, for the next week, I'm not going to have any podcasts, any books, any music. And for me, I love all of those. I love audiobooks, podcasts, and I love music. So it was hard to do that. But if you take like a 7-day stretch and then like from call to call, I'm just going to be in complete silence, or you will learn some stuff about yourself. And then at
You
that
gain
point,
that
you get the option to work it out or, stay stuck. But it was an awesome thing for me.
next level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen you. I think you mentioned that in a post not too long ago. Actually,
Did I?
yeah, I think you did not too long ago. So, yeah, I can see that. Um, a lot of guys don't like that drive time, and I think someone in the chat said that. Free on Leon, he's like, I get paid to drive. Yeah, you get paid to drive. A lot of guys don't want to drive. They hate driving, and I've never been one to hate driving. I don't get that side of it. Um, Guys just throw a fit about drive time. Man, I'll drive to California. You paying me? I'll go wherever you want.
That's what I said. I know I've mentioned it here before or in post before, but when I first started, when I was at Whaley, they were sending me everywhere. And I mean, guys were complaining, "Oh, I had to drive an hour away, 45 minutes away, whatever." So they started sending me everywhere. And my supervisor, who was also the dispatcher, he apologized. I'm like, dude, you're paying me, bro. Like, as long as my rate driving is the same as my rate, on a service call, you can send me to friggin' Timbuktu, bro. I really don't give a crap.
Yeah, my dispatcher did the same. She said the same thing, and I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm getting paid from the time I leave the house to the time I get home. Uh, that's I'm making good money staring at the backside of a windshield. You know, I don't
And
sweat the
work is
small
work.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, and then music. I've got so many podcasts I listen to now. That's pretty much all I listen to. I don't listen to my own, but I listen to everybody else's.
Well, it's funny you said that about podcasts because it's like I have my ritual. Uh, like I know what I'm listening to Monday. I'm listening to Brett's podcast Monday, and then there's a couple other ones I'll listen to. Then Tuesday, I'll usually fill in with one that I've missed, and I just each day I know what I'm going to be listening to. It's I don't know. It's weird, but I'm a weird guy.
It's normal. Everything's
I'm
normal.
actually I'm actually behaving myself for you guys too. Just wanted to let you know.
That's bad. um, I listened to Brett. I listened to the Misfits. Listened to Gil some. My favorite one was Tool Pros and Trade Pros, and they've kind of chilled out. And then Make Trades Great Again, and that's I love listening to those two guys because like they'll talk about anything. They're just like friends talking. You know what I mean? They talk about business and all kinds of different stuff. This week they talked about the electric vehicles, electric vans and stuff. It was a pretty cool episode. And it's just I listen to everything. I mean, it's fun, but I learn stuff from it too. So
Mm-hmm.
The one that I mean, I've always liked it, but I've appreciated it more was the jerky, uh, the HVAC jerks. Those guys, man, sometimes those guys have me like rolling. It's just, like, especially you get them a little fired up, and they get that New York attitude going. Oh my gosh, those guys kill me.
I actually jumped on. So I went to Centrotherm and they were recording there. So I actually jumped on with them for like, I think it was like 5 minutes. We did a scavenger hunt, and like part of it was like you had to record a segment with them. So I jumped on with them for like 5 minutes of Centrotherm in Miami, and it was funny. It was a blast. I made sure I signed my name right in the middle of their big banner. I think by the time I got back there, I was feeling no pain because we had to go like several bars and check in and have shots. I'm like, this is ridiculous, guys.
So, were you flip flops or hey dudes? I know you don't do Crocs.
I'm hey dudes.
Okay, I can respect that. I'm still, hey Rich, I'm still gonna find you a pair of steel-toed Crocs and send them to you.
Yeah,
Especially
being my own boss now, I can actually wear them.
Yeah, I was going to say you set the precedent on your own dress code for work, so you can do whatever you want.
100%. I would.
Keen Utility has like these skateboard shoes now. They have like skateboard shoes, and they are oil and slip resistant soles. They have a carbon toe, but they look like a set of Vans. And I almost bought a set, and I didn't do it.
I've been rocking Timberland Pros, um, but especially on the cases and stuff, I'm on my knees a lot, and even with the the over molded toes, um, I'm like on my second pair, tearing them up. I've been thinking about Kings. I don't know. I know you've had good luck with. I think you wear Kings, don't you, Pat?
Yeah, I wear Fort Wayne's. They work really well in the kitchen. They hold up pretty well to grease. If I can get a year out of a pair of boots, it's a pretty good pair of boots, man.
Yeah.
You see, I average about 8 months out of my boots, which I wear Ariats. I get 7 to 8 months out of them, and I'm fine with that. I did Red Wing a couple times, and 3 months in, them junks were falling apart.
That grease, man, it eats everything, and like
Yep.
it eats screwdriver handles. It eats your like your drills, like the rubber on your drill, your wall, your Milwaukee. It'll eat that rubber off. That stuff's gnarly, man. And the chicken grease is neat. That's the worst stuff I've ever dealt with.
I tell you what. I tell you, when I worked at Coke, what I didn't like was, because we worked in McDonald's, we worked in all those places. Is I finding a pair of shoes that I didn't ice skate in. Because the first pair I had was just a pair of Skechers steel toes, because we had to have steel toes. Yeah, those things lasted about 3 months, and they were still in good shape, but I tossed them in the garbage. Because the first time I stepped on a McDonald's floor by the fryers to go to the back to where the multiplex was, their chilled soda unit, and I took one step and I didn't move my feet the rest of the way, but I made it back there. I was like, I got to find something else, because if not, I'm going to end up breaking my neck.
See, I think it's more about like you learn to step a certain way when you're inside the kitchen. That's what I've come to realize. I'm walking and I'm like, oh yeah, we walk a certain way to mess with the grease. But what you're talking about, that happened to me the first time I went on a roof that had had ice on top of it.
Oh,
I stepped over the hatch and I just kept going.
Those white
I
roofs are snot, man.
well, we do a lot of work with Dollar Generals, and a lot of those have metal over the overlap metal roofs. And this winter, I had to go hit one right after about a little snowstorm. We had about 4 inches of snow, and I thought I was going off the ladder, because I set the ladder up, and then you had a wall, and then it was about a 2 foot drop to get down onto the roof. And I got up on that ledge, and mind you, I was being real careful, probably too careful, and I just about went ass over tea kettle backwards. I dove forward and did kind of a baseball. I did a baseball slide on the. Yeah, I can attest that the veto tool bags will hold up because I didn't lose a single tool out of my bag. Everything was still in the place it was whenever I dove because that thing was on my back. It was just. But I was like, man, this could have been real bad.
Nice. That was yeah. I've done that. I thought I was going off a roof one day. It was a metal roof, and it had a hatch, and I climbed up, and it was icy, and it was an angled roof. And I didn't realize it until I got up there, and I stepped and started sliding, and I grabbed that hatch, and I was back down that roof, and I was like, "I'll see you when this shit melts, man. I'm not dealing with this."
Talking about roof hatch, I told my wife one time I met my match. She always said I was like really super hard headed. I was at a class going up a roof hatch, and I kicked it open, and I thought, there's enough force on those pistons to hold it up. And a gust of wind, a gust of wind came, and that door, and it wasn't like a little 4x4. It was like, I don't know, like 3x5. It's one of the elongated type. That thing cracked me on top of my head. I mean, I literally, you see the cartoons, Tweety birds and stars going around. Yeah, it knocked me for a loop. I had to stand there for 3 or 4 minutes because I didn't know where I was for a second. Had a big old goose egg on top of my head and stuff. I come down off the roof or, down the ladder and told the manager, I said, you need to have somebody look at that. I said, because your pistons on that door are about gone. And she said, did it meet your head? And I said, oh, it had a relationship with my head for a second there. It hurt. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's one of those openings for those weird steps where it's like a half step each side. It's one of those. And those ladders mess me up. The ship ladders, I think it's what they're called or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Those things mess me up every time I climb up one, man.
I tell you the worst. I love my MB5B bag. It's my favorite veto by far. But the only thing I found one complaint is those ladders, those straight up and down ladders for roof hatches, that when you get up to the last 10 feet, they've got the cage around them. Like that's going to do anything. But you get halfway up through that and you lean back or something to grab the next rung and you get your bag stuck on that cage. And it's just not pushing up against it. Something on your bag is caught. And you're sitting there hanging on with one arm and you're trying to reach around to find out, like, was it my tape, tape the trap around? Oh, man. I'll tell you what, you almost got to be part contortionist to get up those things sometimes.
I don't wear a bag up, and I'll tie it off to a rope and drag it up behind me. I'm too big to be wearing a backpack on my back trying to climb up those little bit hatches.
And you carry that big tool bag, don't you?
Yeah, the XL wheeler, the stupid. I did a job yesterday. It was on a bar cooler, and someone had to walk around me, and the girl thought she was just gonna like push it out of the way. And
it's like 300 pounds of tools in that bag.
I'm contemplating getting a winch and putting it on the back of my van so I can just like winch it in the back of the van from now. When I go on a roof, I've got a little zip up veto. I just throw like the basics in to get me by. But yeah, I wouldn't change over to an MB5B for sure. I need to do that for promos up for sure.
I have, and then not a promo for veto or anything. I've had the Tech MC. Still have them. Tech MCT. I like that one, but it just, I don't know. Just something about it didn't jive with it. I've got an MB3, MB3B, MB5B, TPXXL, and a regular MB. And by far, I thought TPXXL was going to be my favorite, but the MB5B, I like that because it's like the Tech Pack and the TPXXL had a baby. You know,
It's smaller than the Tech Pack. Yeah. Does the backpack straps come off that? You can pull them off.
yes, sir.
That's what I hate.
You can.
I had the Tech Pack Wheeler, and I never used the backpack straps. I wanted to cut it off, but Vito's like, it'll void your warranty. I'm like, I don't want these stupid straps. And they stayed inside. I literally sold that bag to a coworker like a couple weeks ago, and he was like, man, these straps, you never even used them. I was like, no, I didn't want it for a backpack. I wanted it for the Wheeler option.
Yeah, no, you can take the straps completely off. You can even do it like a crossbody type setup to where your hookup is on left side and you've got it strapped on the right side, so you can do like a crossbody type of setup. Yeah, that's I like the side pockets is one of the big reasons because I pay too much money for my meters, and I can put them in that little side pocket. They're there. They got their own place. They're nice and safe. And yeah,
Mine live in their bag, so my field piece meter lives in its bag. I just keep them in the bag they come in. Now, in my world, they're starting to stink pretty bad because some of these kitchens are freaking nasty. But
oh yeah. That's some of the certain restaurants that, and not national chains, but some of the family chains or small restaurants that I've worked in, I've found some interesting stuff in their coolers. Like
what? What's the worst thing you found?
Worst thing I found was not actually in the condensing unit. It was down by the condensing unit. You looked like a used prophylactic. Yeah. Needless to say, it stayed right where it was. Now, the worst organic thing that I found was in a. I don't want to say this because I don't want to seem like I'm being like against this type of. Well, anyways, we won't go there. It was in a little cooler, I don't know. It was it's like a 5-foot tall cooler, just a little cooler. Wasn't cooling. Pulled it out. The condensing fins were packed full of roaches. A roach had got into the overload and caused the overload to short. Yeah, I looked at that and I said, yeah, we're going to get you another cooler. And I just gently pushed everything back in there, put the grill on it. And that was.
Yeah.
And a coworker said, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I've had to tell restaurant chains, like, no, I'm not coming back to work on this until you call an exterminator to clean up this mess.
I've done that a couple times. It's got to be bad for me to do that, though. But I've done that a couple times.
Bad for sure to get to that point.
And I can deal with a lot of smells. But I said tell a customer that it was a 2-door True that they stored milk in, and it had been down for, I don't know, 4 days before I could get to it. They hadn't cleared it out, and a couple of the jugs looked like they had developed leaks, and the bottom of the cooler looked like somebody had threw up in it about 3 times. It was just nasty. I just turned around and told the manager, I said, yeah, I'm going to go out to my van. You can come out and get me when you get this cleaned up because I'm not working on this unit until you get this cleaned up. Well, I'm the only one here. And I said, I'll be here all day. That was the only time I like really refused to work on something because that's just like, and if it stunk and it wasn't all dirty, I guess, I don't know. This is where I drew my line.
I think the
mean,
most disgusting smell I ran into, there was a chicken place getting remodeled, but I guess it wasn't like a complete remodel. So they were just shut down for a few days or something. And they had chicken in the one of their thaw cabinets, and the thaw cabinet was down for like 2 or 3 days and nobody knew. And when I went to go work on it, bro, I can still taste that smell. That's how bad it was. That was horrible. I
I
was
had
like, just burn the thing. Let's just throw some gasoline in this sucker and get rid of it. Get a new one.
I had a school. It, they had a little asshole kid who was busting milk cartons in there, and it was draining down the drain and going into the condensate loop. So the condensate loop was super curdling, and the customer's like, "This the school's like, yeah, this milk cooler smells horrendous." I'm like, "What's going on?" So they cleaned it out, and there was like all these busted milk things in there, and then it was just like cottage cheese in the condensate evaporator pan. I was like, "This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life." I was like, "I'd beat the kid's ass if he was mine."
I
most
Good.
interesting most interesting thing I seen as far as nastiness in a restaurant. Was working on a stove one time, and this was years ago. Like I was still kind of new doing this. And on the grease tray, there's a bunch of grease, and I see a rat. Like there's the shape of a rat completely covered in grease. So I'm like, let me grab some tongs or something to get this rat out of there, or a spatula, whatever. When I went to do it, the grease collapsed. This rat that was there completely disintegrated inside the grease. No flesh, no guts, no bones, nothing. It was like the outline, perfect outline of a rat. Like it wasn't like, oh, I think it's a rat. You couldn't mistake that a rat was there and got covered in that grease. I don't know how long that took to decompose, but I was like, I think about it now sometimes, and I'm like, how the hell does that even happen? And that's been at least like 15 years, bro.
Had the smell.
I I wish I'd got a picture of this. I was working on a beer cooler, and the wicking pads were no longer, they were non-existent.
Hmm.
This thing had a layer of mold on the top of the condensate that it had more hair on it than I do on my head. It was, I should have got a picture of it because it wasn't grossing me out. I was just amazed that mold had grown that much in that. And I guess maybe a couple beers maybe have busted at one point, and it got down in the condensate pan, and the yeast, caused it. I don't know, but that was very interesting, and I kicked myself in the butt for not getting a picture of it.
Yeah, beer can do some weird things, man.
Dude, the smell of bars is awful in the morning. You ever run a service call first thing in the morning in a bar? That is that's nasty. Also, cigarettes and beer trapped inside the carpet and the pool tables. Ugh.
Yeah, when I worked at Coke, we'd always, a lot of establishments used bar guns and that's like some of the. I always loved it, man. You go, this bar gun's not working, and you look at it, and they've literally used it as a hammer to bust up ice because the ice, ice tainer's right next to it, and they've just beat the ever loving snot out of this thing, and I'm like, either that's talent or anger or both, but it's just, I,
You
it
know,
just, yeah.
those bar guns never get cleaned. People talk about like ice machines, whatever. Ice machines don't bother me. I've seen some dirty ones that you don't know about, whatever. But I have never seen one of those bar guns get cleaned.
Mm-mm.
And I've been over 18 years now. I've never seen one get cleaned. I'm like, that is the dirtiest thing in its entire place. Is that bar gun right there? And they're
It is.
water,
It
everything out of the same nozzle. I'm like, this is disgusting.
it is. I mean, you take the nozzle off, and it's just black. I mean, it's black. You can't even tell if the O-ring to seal off the nozzles on there anymore because it's the same color as the stuff inside of there.
Don't need it because it created its own O-ring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and the buttons sticking, and there's that was not my most favorite piece of equipment to work on. I will admit.
So
Uh, yeah.
I've been wanting to ask about this all night. So the freestyle machines. Now they came out with that, and they have a newer one that they're putting in everywhere right now. I guess the old, like the software limitations had stopped, and they couldn't keep up, so they came up with a new one. Was that really designed by like some engineer for like, was it Ferrari or Lamborghini or somebody? Like
The original,
yeah,
yes, the original ones that you see in Wendy's, a lot of Wendy's that have the, sorry, I mean to shake the camera. If you look, they've got the Coca-Cola emblem on them. It's like a little embossed raised sticker. Yeah, that was, yes. Not the inner workings weren't, but the design of it was from an engineer from Ferrari.
that's cool. I always heard that.
Yeah.
I didn't know or not. Those things
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
So those things are pretty interesting, but it's all concentrate. It's all super concentrate, right? That's all it is.
Yes. Yeah, and the bottom portion where you have your trays, you basically have small little pumps that run off CO2. That's its fuel source, and the cartridges are just super concentrated, set to a certain ratio, and when it calls for it, it just pulls from whatever flavor it is that you're dealing, or that you're wanting. I will give everybody a piece of advice. If you look at where your soda comes out of those machines, put your head upside down and look up in there. You'll tell how good of how clean of a facility you're at, because that is one of the most underclean things in that whole place. Like, probably those machines pretty much work flawlessly. But they are a tattletale machine, and it tells them when they're supposed to clean, and they can override that. But 90% of the problems with those is where those micro ingredients come out of, because it's got just little pinholes, like literally, the condenser brushes you use to clean condensers with. Cut one of those bristles off, and you can barely fit one of those in the hole where the micro ingredients come out of. So if those don't get cleaned enough, what's that? I gotta read this.
Thanks for ruining the drinks.
You're welcome, Freon. Anything for you, brother. But those things you can barely fit one of those through, and if they don't clean them, they come with a special brush. Then those things will plug up and will cause all kinds of havoc.
That's crazy. Just like the ice cream machine, it's never really down. They just didn't clean it, so it's locked itself out.
Oh yeah, and those micro ingredients, just to give you an idea, and this is one of the reasons why I drink water mostly, is if one of those micro ingredients gets on your hands, like say the worst one is either a grape or an orange, like Sunkist, that gets on your hands are stained that color. Literally, just think to what that's doing to the inside of your guts and stuff. It's
That's funny.
if you're going to drink Coke, get it in glass bottles. That's Mexican Coke. They actually and the reason I say that is
Real sugar.
Yes, real sugar, no artificial sweeteners or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, every time I go, there's a Mexican restaurant in town. Every time I go there, I get some Mexican Cokes.
It's just different. I mean, I don't drink it very much anymore, but I used to. And it's just you drink a regular actual Mexican Coke, and it doesn't have that aftertaste in it. I'm trying to read what he's saying.
I prefer
Colombia. Oh, jeez. Yeah. 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 We know.
Oh, wow. It's a rough crowd tonight.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on an hour. So I want to talk about something you're looking forward to in your next venture at Cool. So starting next week. I know you'll have probably a week of doing dumb stuff before you get out in the field, but what are you most likely looking forward to working on or learning about?
I guess maybe because I'm a glutton for punishment, ice machines. Ice machines, because I know how they work, but I don't have a ton of experience with them. And I know the guys that worked on them a lot are probably like, that guy's an idiot. But, it's a new piece of equipment that I've not, I don't have a lot of experience with it. So that'll, give me give me something to dive into even more.
I love ice machines, bro. Ice machines and rooftops are my happy places.
I don't mind rooftops at all. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just the sequence of operations, um, how to make something work when something's broke. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know if I can really describe it, but they don't freak me out anymore. But I don't get apprehensive. But I'm just still. I don't know the rooftops like I know refrigeration and stuff.
Yeah, I don't do a whole ton of rooftop units. I like working on them because it's different.
No, I meant
Yeah.
actually being on a rooftop. My bad, not rooftop units. They're not my
Oh,
happy place. No, I meant being on a rooftop, like working on a condensing unit or whatever, being rooftop, especially in the summertime.
yeah. Yeah. And you see some beautiful views on a rooftop too. You see stuff that you don't see from ground level.
I found a bag full of drugs and paraphernalia on a roof in the ghetto not too long ago. I was like, what are you doing up here? I was like, I shouldn't touch this. And me being curiosity got the best of me. I was like, like, oh, someone was running from the cops and chucked this up here.
That's exactly what happened.
Throw this in a dumpster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I'm gonna give you a chance to plug Instagram or anywhere you're at, so people can find you and follow along and see what you're up to in your new venture next week.
Yeah. I spend 90% of my time on Instagram. My handle on Instagram is 304 underscore HVACR underscore. That's where I post all my work stuff, not a whole lot of personal stuff there. I am on Facebook under Bryan Sanders. And I'm slowly working into doing YouTube videos and stuff. I don't want to, I don't want to dive into too much stuff and get watered down. I want to figure one thing out and then move to the next. So that's where you can find me. I post Instagram is where I post most stuff.
And I'll put a
Some
link in the show description that's going to link to your Instagram so people can find you there. So make it easy on them.
Yeah, that's nice. You're all right. You're an all right guy, Pat. I tell you.
I try to be. I've had pretty bad things said about me in the past, but I'm past that.
Well, hey, you and Rich can't be half bad because we all have the same hairstyle. Facial hair, we got nothing. We got hardly nothing up here. Yeah, we got facial hair. So, I mean, that's to me, that's a sign of a good technician.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust anybody over 35 that's got a full head of hair. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Man, I lost mine young. I don't know if I've ever told this story. I try to wear a hat when I work just because, like, I get burnt and stuff. So I was at a McDonald's. I was up underneath their fryer, and it's like 6 o'clock at night. They're busy. I try to get this thing running, and I'm tucked up under there. And I was smaller then, so leave that joke alone. But this girl picks up a basket of fries. She doesn't shake it. She doesn't do anything. She pulls it out and carries it over my head. And all that hot grease just poured all over. My head was nothing but grease. So I always wear a hat, especially you bald-headed guys wear a hat.
Yeah, the only thing with the hat is I can't decide whether I want it on backwards or forwards. Like I feel if it's forwards, I look more professional. But if I'm working on something, especially like on top of one of those refrigeration cases, trying to change a contactor out, there's not enough room. So then I flip it around backwards, and I forget to flip it around forwards again, and I don't know. So sometimes if I keep my hair cut short like this, a lot of times I won't wear a hat. But
I like Rich's new hats he's got for on the rocks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple of them made and send them out.
Yeah, I was jealous. I seen it the other day. I was like, man.
yeah, I want to get one of those, Rich. I like that. At first, I was like, On the Rocks. That's a cool name. And I was thinking it's because you like to drink whiskey. But then I was thinking, no, Rich does have a spiritual side too. And I was like, On the Rocks. You're building your house on solid rock. It's a good foundation. And I was like, that's deep.
Yeah, I was waiting for the explanation to come out of the name. I knew it would be later because Rich is like me. He'll put some stuff out there and let it simmer for a little bit, and then he'll explain it when the people get interested in that. I was waiting for
Exactly, especially because you know that can go sideways real quick when you're talking about The Rock, depending on your frame of reference and how you grew up. I was on Adrian's show, and he is like, "Yeah, so you know, what does the name mean or whatever?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's not crack, so let's get that out of the way."
That's funny. It's funny. All right, fellas, it's been an hour. I gotta get off here. I gotta get up early in the morning. I am going to Chicago. I'm gonna go hang out at JB Industries and
Nice.
see if I can walk out of there, steal some stuff or something.
A set of probes from them, right?
A couple. Okay. I'll try anyways. I doubt it will work, but anyways. All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, guys.
If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.